Here's what I got. I don't have long. I'm tired. Ego is a fucking mess right now. And it has been for the past 2 weeks. Starting with hours being cut at work unexpectedly for everyone, not just me, but for everyone. And then after attempts to communicate with employers about ideas for how to help the business, and being repeatedly told, and not for the first time, that they were going to be in and talking to people and discussing ideas with us, and they had no intention of letting anybody go, and being told that unsolicited over the phone. The past Tuesday, my wife was let go with no warning, and no one else being told. They didn't tell anyone that was happening except for her. This is a team of 6 people. This is not a big company. And no communication to me whatsoever about any of it. And implications that they're going to move the business out of town. Again, not communicated to me, communicated to other people, and then sort of just hearsay passed along. I'm just tired. I'm tired of fucking all of it. I recognize ego is playing a role in this. I recognize it feels profoundly threatened, and it has felt profoundly threatened. And I am aware that this is an opportunity for many wonderful things to expand consciousness, to hold on to stand in consciousness, to not allow myself to descend into the egoic spiral of negativity, which I cannot stop. It is happening, and I am endeavoring to just stand outside of it and watch. I'm not always successful at that. Some days I've felt a lot steadier than others, calmer, trusting that all of this is happening for the right reasons, that it is just time. It's time for this to be done. There's an awareness in the same way that I was aware when my previous relationship of 10 years ended, that this thing has run its course, and there's a lot of contrast here. There is a lot of what I don't want here. And acknowledging that is not an indictment of it. It's not calling it wrong, or saying that it's bad. It's just acknowledging that this isn't what is desired. And as in my previous relationship, I had to have the experience of relating and interacting and being treated a certain way in order to realize, oh, hey, this doesn't feel good, and I don't want to continue this. I know now by the feeling of this that this is not what I want, And so I have clarity about what it is that I do want. I would like mutual respect. I would like clear, open, and honest communication. And in my asking for those things, I am open to that meaning the improvement of this situation, the expansion of the existing relationship situation, or the termination of this relationship and the introduction of new. And that is exactly what I asked for shortly before that previous personal relationship ended. And it makes sense that shifting began the shift in this one because they were closely connected. I started this job working with my ex. I started this job in the midst of that relationship, and as that relationship was outgrown and came to an end, it makes sense that this one, which could only have mirrored it, because that's the energy that I was putting out. That was the treatment that I was requesting, the experience that I was requesting. So it could only mirror that. And I have felt for quite some time really pretty close to the ending of my personal relationship that the job was on its way out too. Because the energy of the two of them is very similar, and they're just intertwined, and this is a part of that cycle that has been closed out and is continuing to peter out and be separated from. And so the environment is no longer compatible anymore. It's just energetically incompatible. And that is not a judgment. There is no inclusion of morality in that. It simply is what is. But that's where I am. And there is a lot of anger. There is a lot of anger. I can't pretend that there isn't. I don't want to pretend that there isn't. There's been a lot of anger and feelings of hopelessness and despairing. And I'm aware that ego is having a time. Ego is having a time. And it desperately wants me to be absorbed in that, aligned with that, identifying with that. And I don't want to deny the existence of the anger or that energy flowing through me, but I am aware that blame is not I'm looking for the word. It's useless. It's not accurate to blame anyone or anything, and there is no point in it other than ego taking the focus off of itself and its own sensation to say you are responsible for this, you, bad, bad, bad. None of that is true, and none of that is helpful. I am the creator of my own experience, and all of this is requested. All of this has been requested by me. And that's not to blame myself either, because there's nothing wrong happening. There's nothing wrong for anyone to take blame for. There's no mistake. No harm is happening. So I can take responsibility for the fact that I am the creator of my experience, and that this is requested by me, this is created by me. And there is nothing wrong with that, or in that, or in any part of this. There is nothing wrong happening. It is challenging. It's not a problem. It is a challenge. And the challenge primarily is to remain conscious in the experience of a tremendous wave of fear and a tremendous wave of anger that is connected to that, as well as sadness. Absolutely, there's grief here. But guilt and shame have no role in this, and so to leave those things out, to leave out guilt and shame and blame, all of which are fabrications, they are untrue, they don't exist. None of that is here. Not really. To recognize that I am not harming anyone and no one is harming me. That harm is not possible. And if I start perceiving that harm is possible to me, if I take that on, I pick up the whole stick at once, right? So either I am setting down that belief that harm is possible, and I am recognizing the security and the sovereignty of all being all the time, or I'm not. Or I'm picking up that belief that hurts so much, that belief that I could be harmed. If I believe that I could be harmed, then I believe that I could harm others, and I start recounting the ping pong, the back and forth, the tennis match of all the times that I've been harmed, and maybe I've harmed someone else, but this happened to me, but then that happened to them, and it just becomes this tangled tornado of a story that isn't true. Have you noticed that if you start feeling defensive, perceiving that someone has harmed you in some way, that guilt is not far behind that? Because then you've tapped into this frequency that is then recalling, oh, all the times that I've perceived harm, whether it was against myself or against another. And then it just begins this tug of war, this spiral. There's a court case happening in your head that is all just ego feeding itself on fabricated drama. And so I must either carry the belief that I can be harmed and I have been harmed, and also I have harmed others. I must either carry the belief that we're all wicked, sinful people, or set that down entirely and recognize all of us as without sin, all of us as safe and secure and well and divine. Either all is well or everything is burning. This is the choice. These are the options. There is no in between. I can't do it halfway. And it is the wrestling back and forth. See, it's either heaven or hell. It's the wrestling back and forth that could be called purgatory. That's what these words mean. They're states. They are states. Either you are in a state of believing something that is contrary to the truth, believing something that hurts, and it hurts because it's not true. That pain is demonstrating to you the falsehood of the statement that you are believing. And then you're in hell. You are experiencing what is known as hell, the torment of believing something that's not true. believing something that hurts you, a falsehood like harm is possible, like harm can befall you or any being, or you are in heaven, which is surrendering the false belief. Putting that down, and as soon as you put it down, you don't have to pick up the truth. When you put down the lie, the truth simply surrounds you and is evident. It's not a separate thing that you then take on as a belief. That's the difference between belief and knowing. When you put down the belief that hurts, you are filled with the knowing that feels good. And it's only holding on to that painful false belief that is keeping you from experiencing the good feeling of knowing. That's what's happening right here. And this continuous picking up and putting down and picking up and putting down, the sort of in between, the argumentation of the mind convincing me to pick up the stick again. Because it's not enough to just do it once. To become conscious for one moment. It's maintaining that consciousness, and then even as the mind sees, oh, you're not doing this unconsciously anymore, it's going to then try to convince you to let go of your consciousness and to pick up the stick of false belief again. And it is this feeling of being dragged back to hell. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Trying to stop struggling, but something in me very clearly does not want the struggle to end. It's enjoying the struggle. It needs the struggle. And any judgment of that is just feeding it. So it's not a judgment against that. It is just an awareness. And an awareness that it hurts to perceive threat. It hurts to perceive threat. Because I can't just perceive one threat. It's all of them. It's all or nothing. Either the world is a scary, dangerous place and we can't control ourselves and we're hurting each other all the time, or none of that is true. It's all a game. It's all for fun. Everyone is safe, actually. No harm has ever or can ever befall anyone, and everything is always working out for all of us because we are one life, flowing, loving, living, expanding, evolving, becoming only more, becoming only better, improving naturally, easily, effortlessly, without struggle, without strain, and without end. Which one do I want? Which one feels better? Which one do I choose as the basis of my reality? Because I am free, I do have the choice. I am so free that I can choose to live in hell. I am so free that I can choose to create and reside in hell. Eventually, I think we all get tired of that. Soul, at least, because that's just... it is exhausting to go against what we know. It just is. It is exhausting to swim upstream. We can only do it for so long. And so eventually we all get to heaven, not by our struggling, not by our proving ourselves, but by giving the fuck up. By giving up the proving, giving up the worthiness, giving up the false beliefs that anyone can cause anything to go wrong. that anything ever goes wrong. Nothing is going wrong, ever. And none of this is wrong. It's not a wrong experience. It just is. And it is happening now. And there is a part of me that likes it. That likes the drama. And I'm not ashamed of that part, although it may be ashamed of itself. It doesn't need to be. But it may want to be. So then I'll allow it to. It is this part that wants to feel shame, and so I won't affirm or deny that. I'll just let it be. What a fucky thing ego is. But here I am, transitioning out of a job, not sure where I'm going. No fucking clue where I'm going. I don't know what's coming. And yes, there's a lot of fear in that. And yes, I am simply exhausted by the very notion that working to live is the way that the world works. Bullshit. It's the opposite of true. And I'm aware that a lot of the anger comes from recognizing something that is false, that I know in my core, for my being, is false. And falsely believing that I am required to take on that falsehood as truth. Feeling like I'm forced to take that on as a truth for my reality when I know it's not true. But what's also untrue is that I'm forced to believe that. I'm not. I'm not. I don't have to believe that. I can simply stand here and know that isn't true for me. And it doesn't need to be. Harm? It's not true for me. The requirement to work, to exist, it's not true for me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how it manifests, but I know that that's not true for me. It's allowed to be true for anyone who chooses it to be. But for me, I know it doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate. So, no thank you. That one's not mine. The perception that anything has or could go wrong, not true for me. That's not mine. It's not mine in the same way that if someone hands me a coffee I didn't order, I simply say, oh, I didn't order that. That's not mine. And I will stand firmly in that knowledge. And there is some of this righteous anger there. But then it's not aggressive. Nor is it defensive. It's just standing firm. It's a championing of this knowledge, of this space. It's a holding my space, holding my ground, holding what I know, holding my focus upon what I know to be true and not allowing it to be diverted, not allowing the influence over what I know to be true, not allowing someone else to have authority over my knowledge of myself and my experience. It is time to stop asking other people to stop looking outside of ourselves for truth, for direction. If you resonate with someone, great. If you're resonating with this right now, fantastic. That's your resonance. That's your guidance. That's your truth showing you, I'm here. This is what I know. Yes, I affirm this because it is my knowledge. Not because someone is telling me this and they seem like they know something, so I'm going to listen. No, because I feel it. You know the truth within you, and you know what is not true the same way. It's rejected, it's spat out. Spit it out and then stand in your fucking truth. That's where I'm at. I gotta go get some groceries, so I'm going to end this here. But I've been wanting to record something for a while. I haven't found the words. It's just been, ego is a mess. But this is what's happening right now, and this is the energy right now. It's time for another radical shift. It's time for a cycle change. It's time that we're actually getting off the bus. We left the previous destination and we've arrived in a new place, but it's time to get off the bus. I've been sitting on this bus for too long. It's time to move. That's it. I love you. Thank you for being. Thank you for witnessing. Take it easy.